This perfect Raiders mock draft was previously recorded on our Raiders YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. And if you're looking for more NFL mock drafts, then take a second and hit that big red button underneath this video that says subscribe. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders board. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and I want to get a little bit crazy on today's episode. What you're going to be seeing here is my perfect draft plan for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2023. The reason why we need it to be perfect is because, I'll tell you this right now, my body, y'all's probably body, can't handle another bad Raiders draft. So when you look at right now the Raiders picks, you got 12 in total. You got 4 picks in the top 100, 1 4th round pick, 3 5ths, 2 6ths, 2 7ths, a total, yep, you guessed it, 12 picks altogether. I've had multiple people ask me, Mitch, what are the Raiders' draft needs? Here's the thing, give me it all. I think basically everything besides a wide receiver, I'll take on this Raiders roster. We need a defensive tackle. You need another corner or two. You probably need 2 linebackers. You need a safety, maybe 2. You're going to need another cornerback. You need some interior offensive line help. You want to give me an offensive tackle? It's at a good value? Great. Tight end, let's do it. Edge, if it's there and it's at good value, I am all about it. Now, I am saying the term perfect draft plan. I'm not going to sit up here and say at the number 7 pick, the Raiders get C.J. Stroud. At pick 38, they get Christian Gonzalez. At pick 70, you get Devon Witherspoon. We're not going to do that. I still ended up doing a mock draft. I ran a few different simulations to try to pinpoint certain players that I was looking for. So that's what you're going to be seeing here. If you want to get more free content around the Raiders, more free content around the 2023 NFL Draft, subscribe. Also, Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live for the first round, day 2, day 3, all picks. Every single pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, we're going to be live. So hopefully you're here and you enjoy it. So here we go, round 1, pick 7. Guess what? I got the Raiders trading back. I want to trade back at number 7 because to me there's a lot of good value picks at the cornerback position. And a lot of the mocks that I ran, Jalen Carter was there. I just don't think that the Raiders end up taking him because of some of the off-the-field issues. The quarterbacks there, wasn't really confident on taking Anthony Richardson or Will Levis at 7. So what did I do? I traded back. And the trade that I ended up getting to go through was the Raiders and the Houston Texans. So you got that Dave Ziegler, Nick Casario little relationship there. The Raiders, you trade back, you get number 12, but you get the 33rd pick. And the reason why the 33rd pick is a pretty good one is because technically, this year's draft is a little bit different because of the forfeited pick, so it's, kind of like the 32nd pick, if you will. But ultimately, though, like this move a lot, the Texans, they get the number 7 pick, and then you also get that pick 100, which was in the Darren Waller trade. So let's just say you're sitting here live on the Raiders Report. It's draft night. Roger Goodell announces this trade. Who do you think ends up winning this one? Do you think it's the Raiders? Give me an LV. Or if you believe it is the Houston Texans, then you can type HOU. So right now we have 3 picks in the top 38. You got pick 12, you got pick 33, you got pick 38. The other reason why I ended up going with this trade here is because when I look at positions, I wanted to address the cornerback position, and I see there's Christian Gonzalez, there's Joey Porter Jr., and then there's Devon Witherspoon. If I'm able to get any of those players, I like that value a lot. So in this scenario, Christian Gonzalez went off the board. Give me the man from Illinois. They call him Devon Witherspoon. When I look at his game, he does look a little bit more like a coverage corner in terms of doesn't play as well in man. He's a good tackler, better tackler than Gonzalez and Joey Porter. He's also got that physicality and that toughness. 6'1", 180. He can put on a few extra pounds, which I do think is probably needed. Another thing that the Raiders have said that they want to see is continuity. Guess what? Devon Witherspoon at the NFL Combine. If you don't believe me, we got a short on the YouTube channel simply of him going, hey, I want to play with Nate Hobbs. They played together at college, good friends there. And also, when you have a long limb player like Witherspoon, I actually think that helps out some of these shorter cornerbacks like a Duke Shelley, like a David Long Jr. You insert Devon Witherspoon, him and Nate Hobbs, those are your top two corners, and they went to the same college. Let's go to round 2, pick number 33. This is the other pick that I got in the Devon Witherspoon, or I guess I should say in the trade that I did earlier with Houston. And I was targeting defensive tackle. So I had to go through a few mock drafts, but there was one mock draft that I did that Bryan Bresee ended up falling all the way down to me at number 33. And in my mind, the reason why he would fall is because he had injuries last season, and there's going to be teams out there that maybe don't want to take the risk. Maybe they have Kalijah Cansey ranked higher. Maybe because Jalen Carter falls so far down in round 1 that drops some of these other defensive tackles down. That's the scenario that I'm going to play in my head. To me, though, Bryan Bresee, there was a time where there was a lot of people who said, this is the number 1 defensive tackle in this class. I was a little bit worried about the injury because when I watched him on tape his final year at Clemson, he didn't look as explosive as what I was hoping for. Dude looked really good at the NFL Combine, though, and he had that acceleration, which is one of the reasons why I did love him. And his teammates can't stop ranting and raving about him, which is something that this Raiders organization is going to want. On top of that, defensive tackle is the biggest need for the Silver and Black. You brought back Jerry Tillery. You got Bilal Nichols. But if you're able to get a legit defensive tackle in the middle of this defense, that's why I really like this one a lot. So now you got round 2, pick number 38. I went corner. I went defensive tackle. And the reason why I'm calling this my perfect draft plan is because I went defense. And I got 3 players that I have in my top 40 overall rankings, and I like the Raiders being able to start a draft like that. Who do I got? My top linebacker in this year's class. His name, Drew Sanders from Arkansas. This guy can do it all. And there's going to be people that look at him, and they're like, he's really that great? I'm telling you. He looks like someone who would be able to probably, you could cheat off him on a math test, and you're going to get an A+. Drew Sanders is a hell of an athlete. He went to Alabama, ended up transferring to Arkansas, but 103 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. He can do it all because he is a great athlete. He's sideline to sideline. He would be by far the best linebacker on this Raiders roster. And right now, as it stands, you have Divine Diablo. He's still very much of an unknown commodity. You got Robert Spillane, who, good player, good tackler, can't cover worth a damn. Luke Masterson, who did show a little bit, but he's still just a UDFA. The Raiders need some linebackers, and I felt in my first 3 picks, I was able to get a starting caliber cornerback. I got us a starting caliber defensive tackle, and I got us a starting caliber linebacker. You can make the argument, might be the best corner on our team, him and Hobbs. Would be the best defensive tackle, would be the best linebacker. Sounds like perfect plan to start. Let's go now to round 3, pick number 70. And on this pick, I love the prospect. Yeah, we already took a cornerback, but to me, I got DJ Turner as a top 50 overall prospect. And for him to be on the board at number 70, I went with it and I took it. The other reason why I did this is because, to me, DJ Turner's athletic ability, you just simply can't teach. At 6 foot, 180 pounds, he's a lot taller, a lot longer, just like Duke Riley, a lot longer, or like Duke Shelley and David Long Jr., which is something that this Raiders team needs. So 36 tackles, the 10 pass breakups, the 1 interception. If you were to pair Nate Hobbs, DJ Turner, and Devon Witherspoon, I think a lot of teams would look at that young cornerback room and be like, man, that's a really legit room. On top of that, you have Duke Shelley who could play on the inside. You have David Long Jr. who could play on the inside. I'm going to use this special word. It's called versatility. And I think that you would see those 5 cornerbacks on the field a lot more because that's where the NFL is starting to go, especially Patrick Graham's defense. Now, let's go to round 4, pick 109. And another player that I do like, I've seen at times people are a little bit split on him, but I'm going to go with the dude that I've watched pretty closely being down here in Texas. It's DeMarvion Overshown, round 4, 109. I listed him as an edge. He is listed as a linebacker, but the way that I think he would fit with this Patrick Graham system and this Raiders defense is probably a little bit more as an edge rusher. Yeah, he's still going to play linebacker, but to me, I said this about Micah Parsons when he was coming out in the draft. If you use him as a middle linebacker, you're not going to like it. If you use him as an edge rusher and you let him be athletic, you're going to like it. That's how I hope the Raiders would use Overshown. 4 sacks last season with the Longhorns, and the reason why I'm going this route is because He struggled in 2021, but he got so much better in 2022. If he continues to work on his craft and you use him in the right way, he's going to show his athletic traits. And the Raiders, as far as I'm concerned, they could use all the edge rusher help they can get. Let's go to round 5, pick 141 now for the silver and black. And I'm looking at this pick right here. And funny enough, I saw it and I was like, you know what? There's a certain player on the board. I got to do a trade. So I wanted to end up doing a trade here because when you start looking at certain players at certain positions, there are certain guys that you got circled. And for me, this player is a top 90 overall prospect. So I saw him on the board, and I go, all right, I'm going to make a trade. Who's going to make a trade with me? So the trade that I ended up getting accepted was with the Minnesota Vikings. Entering the draft, the Vikings have only 5 picks. So this could be a team that's looking like, all right, I could potentially trade back here. So the deal that I ended up getting, I trade back up into the 4th round, pick 119. The Minnesota Vikings, I give them pick 141 and pick 174. So that means the Raiders still have another 5th round pick. So what do you think about this deal? I know you don't know what player I'm going with yet, but if you can get a top 90 player, I think a lot of people would actually probably have him as a top 100 player. I do think you guys ultimately are going to like what you see. So round 4, pick 119. The player that I ended up trading up for was Ji'Ayir Brown. I don't love the idea of trading up for a safety because I do think it's a position that doesn't have as much value compared to some other positions in the National Football League. But I also didn't take a safety yet. I also think he's a great player, 5'11", 208. If you want to find a Marcus Epps replacement for next season, here you go. 74 tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 pass breakups last season for the Nittany Lions. Grew up in Trenton, New Jersey. I'm from central Pennsylvania. I went to college in New Jersey. If you can get a guy from Trenton, I'm telling you right now, that guy's a dog. And he can be a dog on this team in year 1 in special teams. But then outside of Epps and Merrick, I think he's a better player than Roderick Teamer. I think he's a better player than Elliott. I think he's a better player than Jaquan Johnson. I think he's better than Paul Mayo. So if you can get your 3rd safety in round 4, a player that I think is going to go in the top 100, the value was there, so I went and I did it. So there we go. We got DJ Turner, DeMarvion, Overshown, Ji'Ayir Brown. Let's now go to round 5. Pick 144 here on the clock. But before I show you who I ended up taking here in round 5 and round 6, we're talking about the draft, right? I think the perfect draft look is these brand new Raiders draft hats. Take advantage of the deal right now. They are on sale. Chatsports.com/Raiders draft. Whether you want the fitted, whether you want the trucker hat look, or if you want the snapback, we got them in black, we got them in silver. It's chatsports.com/Raiders draft. That link is going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's show. Depending on how you say this name, this might be an ultimate giggity, but it's Zack Kuntz, round 5, pick 144. I actually had the opportunity to get some high school friends of mine who watched Kuntz play in high school. Then he went to Penn State, couldn't quite get his footing. He just dominated that Old Dominion, though. 6'8", 250 pounds, and some of y'all are like, wait a minute, he's that big, but only had 12 catches, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a few injuries. The reason why I want y'all to watch this man here is because the tight end room is super deep. I think he goes higher than in round 5, but there are some people out there that have seen limited production at a small school, some injury concerns, and the tight end class in general is so deep, so he might end up sliding down. This is going to be your replacement for one of Austin Hooper or O.J. Howard, who are both on 1-year deals. But go look at Zack Kuntz's NFL Combine metrics. They are more impressive than Darren Waller. He is 2 inches bigger than Waller. He's the exact same weight, and all the athletic ability technically is more impressive than what Darren Waller did at his combine. All I'm saying is go check it out. I think you guys are going to like Zack Kuntz as well. Round 6, pick 204 here on the clock. I'm going to go offensive line, and I've gone a lot of defense. I've addressed a few positions on the offensive side of the football. I'm going to go with Jordan McFadden, and depending on who you talk to, some people say he's a tackle. I know he played tackle for Clemson. I think he's actually going to end up being better off as a guard. That's my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, at 6'2", 305, he's got versatility. And if you can find a versatile offensive lineman and an interior guard that I actually have ranked as I believe my fifth or sixth best offensive guard prospect. I got him in round 6. That's a steal to me. It's another player that I would imagine ends up going a little bit higher. But hey, what if we have a crazy scenario what if the Raiders do end up moving on from Andre James? What if that means you got to kick Dylan Parham into center? What if Jermaine Illuminor doesn't want to play right guard? There are a lot of different possibilities here. But for this Raiders organization, they're going to go with players that have that keyword of versatility, and that's what you're going to get with Jordan McFadden. Round 6, pick 214 up here on the show. We got 3 picks left, and I know the player that I'm about to mention, some of y'all are going to be like, wait, I thought you didn't like this guy. Hear me out. This round, I went round 6, pick 214. I got the Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett, 26 years old. I said that I think that the Raiders end up taking a quarterback. And I do ultimately believe that. However, when I was looking at a lot of the mock drafts, I wasn't able to get a late-round guy like a Jake Haener. Hendon Hooker went off the board very early in a lot of the mocks that I did. I don't like Tanner McKee. A dude like Aiden O'Connell went off the board. So the way that I thought about this was, okay, if I sat up here and I said, I don't want the Raiders to trade up, I want the Raiders to potentially look at a quarterback in next year's draft, I looked at this at value. And I also thought about it of, okay, what would Josh McDaniels want? McDaniels probably would want a quarterback that he feels like can operate a system. Stetson Bennett has showed that he might not have all the talent in the world, but he can operate a system, and he did that pretty well, and he played at a high level at Georgia. On top of that, if I were to tell every single one of y'all which quarterback that you think that you could probably get in round 5, round 6, round 7 has the most trade value in a year or two if they never play, what's the name? I bet you it's Stetson Bennett. I bet you there's going to be an NFL team out there that goes, he won 2 national championships in college. Hey, let's give him a shot. And if you can get a 6th-round pick a year or 2 years from now for Bennett, hell yeah, man, I would absolutely do it. So you have Garoppolo. Bennett would be able to learn next to Brian Hoyer. Also, by going this route, you still leave the possibility open, at least, God, I hope so, that you can probably get a Drake May or Caleb Williams in next year's draft. Let's go to round 7 now, pick 220. One of my prospects that's probably one of my favorite guys out there, because at this point in the draft, I look for athletes and I look for leaders. And if you want both of those, here you go. Gervarrius Ownes, safety from Houston. He was a team captain, and he's an athletic freak. I don't think that he's all that great at playing safety. I'll be 100% honest with y'all. But if I can find a special teams dog, I'm going to do it. If I can find a player who's kind of little bit smaller than a linebacker, bigger than a safety, 6 foot, 200 pounds. He can run like a freaking right down the field. He can be that elite gunner. Let's go for it. Give me Gervarrius Ownes here in round 7. And then to round this thing out, I went with another linebacker here in Ventrell Miller. When I look at a lot of these late round picks, I try to fill team needs, sure. I also, though, look at how talented that player is, and then I also think, can you be an impact player on special teams? That's what I want. You want to be able to dominate in the NFL? You want to be a Super Bowl contending team? Yeah, you got to be great on offense. You got to be great on defense, but you also have to be legit on special teams. And Ventrell Miller, he's probably never going to be an every down linebacker in the NFL. In fact, he can't cover worth a damn. But if you need him to come in here and there, he might get his opportunity in a year or two. Special teams, though, he can be a good special teams player, and a lot of the coaches and teammates spoke very highly about him last season for Florida. So to me, you could have him compete with a Darian Butler. Like, for everyone out there wondering what type of player is he going to be, he's your competition for Butler. He's your competition for Bolton in this scenario here in my perfect draft plan. So this is kind of how I round out the back half of my Raiders draft. Zack Kuntz, Jordan McFadden, Stetson Bennett, Gervarrius Ownes, Ventrell Miller. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start all the way back up at the top again because, I don't know, maybe you were sleeping. Maybe I lost your concentration here real quick. See if you can just go, the full list. You're all good. So we got Devon Witherspoon and a trade back. I was able to get Bryan Bresee as well. I got Drew Sanders. These 3 start right here. You start this changes your defense. Straight up. This changes your defense. I was also able to get a DJ Turner, another extremely talented corner. For me, I was able to get 4 players in my top 50 overall rankings, and I was able to get 6 players in my top 100. That's really hard to do. That's why I called it my perfect draft plan. Round 5, Zack Kuntz. Can he be a reliable tight end in years to come? I don't know, but he's got the athletic ability. And then a versatile offensive lineman, a quarterback in Stetson Bennett that I think you could trade in a year or two from now. Another good athlete and another good athlete. That is my Raiders' perfect draft plan. For me, I give this an A+. But I don't really do this show to just talk to myself. I do this show for all of y'all. So let me know, grade my Raiders draft. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F.